I will give you the setup. So Charles Wallace is the brother who's been captured by IT, and he's not himself. He's been taken over by this mechanized system. And Meg, who's the older sister, is supposed to save him, but she's not very confident, and she doesn't know how to do it, and she feels like she has to do this thing she doesn't know how to do, right? And so they're in Camazotz, and they said that you're supposed to find something that IT doesn't have, right? And it's this artificial brain. So, directly ahead of her was the circular building, its walls glowing with violet flame, its silvery roof pulsing with a light that seemed to Meg to be insane. Again, she could feel the light, neither warm nor cold, but reaching out to touch her, pulling her toward IT. Now, what I keep talking about is AI as the endgame settler colonizer. There was a sudden sucking, and she was within, and it was as though the wind had been knocked out of her, and she gasped for breath in her own rhythm, not in the permeating pulse of IT. And she felt the inexorable beat within her body, controlling her heart and lungs. But not herself, not Meg. It did not quite have her, and she blinked her eyes rapidly and against the rhythm until the redness before them cleared and she could see. There was a brain. There was IT lying pulsing and quivering on the dais, soft and exposed and nauseating. Charles Wallace was crouched beside IT, his eyes still slowly twirling, his jaw still slack, and as she had seen him before, with a tick in his forehead, reiterating the revolting rhythm. And she saw him, and it was again as though she had been punched in the stomach, for she had to realize afresh that she was seeing Charles, and yet it was not Charles at all. Where was Charles Wallace, her own beloved Charles Wallace? What is it that I have got that IT hasn't got? You have nothing that IT hasn't got, Charles Wallace said coldly. How nice to have you back, dear sister. We have been waiting for you. We knew that Mrs. Watson would send you. She is our friend, you know. And for an appalling moment, Meg believed it. And in that moment, she felt her brain being gathered up into IT. No, she screamed at the top of her lungs. No, you lie. And for a moment, she was free from IT's clutches again. For as long as I can stay angry enough, IT can't get me. Is that what I have that IT doesn't have? Nonsense, said Charles Wallace. You have nothing that IT doesn't have. You're lying, she replied, and she felt only anger towards this boy who was not Charles Wallace at all. No, it was not anger, it was loathing, it was hatred. It was sheer unadulterated, and she became lost in hatred, and she began to be lost in IT, and the red miasma swam before her eyes. Her stomach churned in its IT rhythm, and her body trembled with the strength of her hatred and the strength of IT. And with the last vestige of consciousness, she jerked her mind and body. Hate was nothing that IT didn't have. IT knew all about hate. You are lying about that, and you are lying about Mrs. Watson, she screamed. Mrs. Watson hates you, Charles Wallace said. And that is where IT made IT's fatal mistake. For as Meg said automatically, Mrs. Watson loves me, that's what she told me, that she loves me. And suddenly she knew. Love. That was what she had that IT did not have. She had Mrs. Watson's love, and her father's, and her mother's, and the real Charles Wallace's love, and the twins, and Aunt Beast. And she had love for them. But how could she use it? What was she meant to do? If she could give love to IT, perhaps it would shrivel up and die? For she was sure that IT could not withstand love. But she, in all of her weakness and foolishness and baseness and nothingness, was incapable of loving IT. Perhaps it was not too much to ask of her, but she couldn't do it. But she could love Charles Wallace, and she could stand there and love, and she could love Charles Wallace, her own Charles Wallace, the real Charles Wallace, the child for whom she had come back to Camazotz, to IT, the baby who was so much more than she was, and yet who was utterly vulnerable. She could love Charles Wallace. Charles, I love you, my baby brother who always takes care of me. Come back, come back. Come away from IT, come back, come home. I love you, Charles. Oh, Charles, I love you. And tears were streaming down her cheeks, and she was unaware of them. And now she was even able to look at him, at this animated thing that was not her own Charles Wallace at all, and she was able to look and to love. I love you, Charles Wallace. You are my darling and my dear and the light of my life and the treasure of my heart. I love you, I love you, I love you. And slowly his mouth closed, and slowly his eyes stopped twirling, and the tick in the forehead ceased its revolting twitch, and he advanced towards her. I love you, she cried. I love you, Charles, I love you. And then suddenly he was running, pelting. He was in her arms, and he was shrieking with sobs. Meg, Meg, Meg. I love you, Charles, she cried, her sobs almost as loud as his, her tears mingling with his. I love you, I love you, I love you.